All right, so I want to deal with how to overcome temptation, and I want to begin by having you think about three areas in your life where you experience temptations in. Just think right now about three areas in your life where in which you experience temptations. And once you have these three in your mind, I'm going to ask you another question. Of the three temptations, which one has the strongest appeal? Which one is the most intense? So think about right now, I want everyone to think about just three temptations that you fight. And then think, which one is the strongest? Which one is the most intense? And then I want you to think about your response to what I just asked you to do. So, three temptations, which one is the worst? Now, I'm going to ask you to think about this. What is your response? In other words, would you say, like when the temptation comes, do you say, oh, it's the same old thing, I might as well give in? Or do you say, I'm trying to overcome it? Or do you say, well, I think this is bondage and I don't know what to do about it? So you know, I'm having you think about the three temptations. Many of us have way more than that, but let's just think about the top three in our life that we're tempted with. And let's think about the worst one, the most intense one. And then let's ask ourselves, what do we say? What's our response when temptations come? Do we say, oh, it's the same old thing, I might as well give in? Or do we say, I'm going to try and kill this thing, I'm going to try and overcome it? Or do we say, I'm in bondage, I don't know what to do? Well, this is something we deal with. But let me ask you something else. When the temptation comes, who do you blame? Do you blame your past? Do you blame other people? Do you blame the way you were brought up? Do you blame your mom and dad? Do you blame your family? Do you blame weaknesses in your life? Or do you blame circumstances? Or maybe do you blame God? I still remember a preacher who could not overcome a temptation with women. And when I asked him about it, he blamed his childhood. He blamed his past. And then he blamed the fact that he was molested as a child, which means he blamed people. So when temptations come, people usually blame something. Well, I'm tempted because, of the way I was brought up. Or I'm tempted because of my past, or I'm tempted because of my family, or I'm tempted because I am just weak, or circumstances. But you know what? It's so sad. A lot of people blame God for their temptations. Now, let's begin with this, because this is so important that we understand. What does the Bible say about that one thing I just said, when people blame God? So in James 1, verse 1 and 2, it says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation. Now this is an interesting beginning of the book. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Now, here we are told that temptation is a universal problem. So that's the first thing we have to understand. So let's not blame this and this and that on people. Let's understand it's a universal problem. And we all face it. And we will continue to face it until the Lord returns. So it's not good to blame people. It's not good to blame this and that. It just, let's understand first of all, it's a universal problem. We're going to face it. We're going to face it till the Lord comes. So James says, my brethren, verse 2, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith works patience. Yes, I'm going to deal with how to overcome, but let me just read this. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. If any of you lack wisdom and you don't know what's causing it, let him ask of God, that gives to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Now, the reason many people blame God when it comes, not realizing it's a universal problem that we are to deal with through the Word. Well, you can't have joy, to be honest with you, until you know how to overcome it. That's what James is saying here is, well, don't rejoice because you're tempted. Rejoice because you're going to overcome this thing. You're going to rejoice because you're going to see what he says later. How do I overcome temptation? Well, once I know I'm going to rejoice, I'm not going to rejoice when I don't know how. But I want to deal with, slowly, one thing at a time. Why do people blame God? Because a lot of people blame God. Because that's what happened with Adam. Adam blamed God. Adam never took full responsibility when he was tempted. Remember? When his wife came and said, here, eat it. He was, basically what Adam did, he never took responsibility. He was saying, Lord, you've given me this wife. Had you given me someone different, maybe I wouldn't have been tempted. Had you given me some stronger woman, I wouldn't have done it. But you gave me this lady that has no discernment. And I would not be in this mess if it wasn't that this lady is the one that got me all in this mess. But he blamed God for giving him a wife who was weak and had no discernment, really. Because when he said, well, it's the wife you gave me, he was blaming God and also saying, well, Lord, you just gave me the wrong person. She didn't do the right thing. She didn't have discernment. She's weak, and so forth. So it's easy to blame God. But really, that's not the right answer. So temptations, trials. Now, verse 2, my brethren, this is James 1:2. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. That word temptations in this portion is the Greek parasmas. Parasmas means enticement, which has destruction as its goal. And in verse 3 he says, knowing this, that the trying of your faith, or the testing, that's what the word trying means. The Greek word dakimas, the testing of your faith. Now, the next thing we read, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, or complete, wanting nothing. Now let's look at verse 12, and here's what it says. 12 and 13. Because this is the first thing that will help us overcome, is when we realize, number one, it says, "Blessed is the man that endureth temptations, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I'm tempted of God." Can't blame God. "For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. He'll test you, but he will not tempt you." Now the problem is, verse 14 says, "But every man is tempted when he is drawn away." When he's drawn away from the Lord. That's the problem. He's drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So the Bible is very clear. God does not tempt us. God will test us. In Genesis 22, 1 and 2, God tested Abraham. God would not do, I should say, anything that will cause us to sin, because it's against his nature. It's against his purpose. But let's ask here, why does God test us? What's the reason for testing? In Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 10, we have the answer. It says, "For they verily," that's our parents, "for they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure. But God will test us for our own profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness." So God doesn't tempt us because, like I said, that's against his nature. God will do nothing that would cause you and I to sin. It's against his purpose. It's against his nature. God will test us. Why will God test us? It says in verse 10, that we might be partakers of his holiness. So that's why James, let's go back to the book of James again, the epistle of James, chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 13 this time again. "Let no man say when he's tempted, I'm tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man." So that's out of the question. So put that aside. Never blame God because he has nothing to do with it. Now, God, the Son, Jesus, when he became flesh, he was tempted. Hebrews 4:15, it says he was tempted in all points. The devil tempted his humanity. So when the Lord Jesus resisted, and he did, and he never gave up, he never gave in, I should say. Think about this. The Son of God, the devil tempted the humanity of the Son of God. The Son of God resisted, never gave in. Think about the intensity and the pressure that he felt that we will never feel. Because I want to say something so powerful that is so, and I don't know that you're going to get this, but I'll say it slowly. Jesus felt what we are incapable of feeling. when he was tempted. He took all that hell could throw upon him without sinning. Not even one evil thought entered into his mind. Pure holiness. Jesus is pure holiness. And pure sin came against pure holiness. Think about the pressure. Think about the intensity of that pressure. When Satan tempted his humanity, Jesus knew no sin in his humanity. Jesus was pure holiness in his humanity. The Lord resisted. He never gave in. Think about the intensity he felt as pure holiness. When you and I are tempted, we're not pure holiness. We already are accustomed to the flesh and sin and the way sin works. We were conceived in sin. So when we were tempted, and when we are tempted, there isn't the intensity. Jesus never failed. Jesus resisted unto the end. The problem is we do not resist. That's why we fail. If pure holiness can resist, if pure holiness never gave in to sin, if pure holiness never failed, and be that is pure holiness, imagine the intensity of that temptation. Because there's no intensity where there's no pure holiness. This is a little deep for some of you, I know. But just think about this. If you were, just think about this. If you had never sinned in your life and sin came like that, think about what I'm talking about. But all of us have sinned. We've all come short of the glory of God. We have all been conceived in sin. Meaning when we were tempted, there wasn't the resistance. There wasn't the pressure. Because we'd been accustomed to it. Jesus, pure holiness, resisted against sin. When someone says Jesus never felt what I feel, my answer is, he felt what you and I are incapable of feeling. He was tempted in all points, yet without sin.